Hey guys, we're here with a special guest today, Nigel, who finished top 8 at Rochester Regional with the Rescue Ace. Thanks again for doing this profile with me. What do you feel about, how do you feel about the deck in the current format?
So I think it's actually a tier one deck. I think a lot of people haven't been giving it enough credit. I feel like even pre Age of Overlord support, it's probably easily one of the best decks. It has a really good Kashtira matchup as well as a really good Pearly matchup. So yeah, I think it's pretty well positioned.
Awesome. Well, I guess we'll just get right into the deck list.
Yeah, all right. So three Rescue Ace Airlifter and three Rescue Ace Hydrant. Airlifter facilitates all the one card combos of the deck. And then whenever you're playing on more than one card, a lot of the time you actually want to start with Hydrant because you can link it off easy, which makes effects like Turbulence and Preventer in the hand live more frequently. So it's a lot better into hand traps than Airlifter. Then I played two Turbulence and two Preventer. This ratio is pretty standard. Both of these cards brick in multiples because they do not play on their own. Well, Turbulence does sometimes. You can tribute summon it. Comes up a little bit with some of the cards in the side. Then I played three Impulse, one Fire Engine, and one Fire Attacker. Impulse is probably the best going second card in this deck. I feel like it's a lot better than something like Hovness because sometimes Hovness would do nothing. Impulse always either gets you into more non-engine cards if you choose to summon Fire Attacker, or gets you into engine if you choose to summon Fire Engine. You can summon Fire Engine and then Airlifter, and then Airlifter can search one of your rescue spells. For the spell cards, I played three Emergency, one HQ. I've seen a lot of people aren't playing HQ in this deck, and I think you have to. Unfortunately, it's kind of bricky sometimes going second, but there's certain matchups like against Labyrinth or Runic decks where if you don't have this card to shuffle back your other Rescue Ace spells and traps, you end up losing the grind game when you should never be losing that game. Then I also played Alert, Rescue, Extinguish, and Contain. These are just all the spells and traps that you can set off Turbulence. Most of them are actually pretty good going second. The only ones that you don't want to be drawing are the two traps. In terms of the spells, a lot of the times they can help break a board. Like a lot of times I would search Rescue against specifically Pearly, because what you can do is you can normal or special summon a Rescue Ace Impulse, and then they have to answer it or it can turn off Noir. So you use the effect in response to their Noir, and then you can chain Rescue and bring out the Impulse again. So when you summon Hydrant off Impulse, they can't target Impulse because you control another Rescue Ace monster, and then the Noir has to spin the Impulse again. Then for other consistency cards, I played three Prosperity, one Roto, one for one. I feel like you have to play all of these consistency cards. The deck does have a mild bricking problem. I was playing Small World before, but I found it kind of redundant, and it also plays more into hand traps. You banish a card from your hand to search one card that then just trades into one hand trap. It also plays into Droll, so I ended up cutting Small World, but I definitely think you need to play the other spells. And then the last 12 cards are non-engine. I ended up playing mostly hand traps because I wanted the coverage into the field. So I played three Ash, three Imperm, two Effect Veiler, and then I played three Book of Moon and a Called by the Grave. I was playing Book of Eclipse, but I found that it was kind of unreliable. Against Pearly, when they have Noir up, they get a chance to draw 2 to 3 cards in the standby phase with the Sleepy Memories. And then I found that a lot of the times Eclipse was just trading with Ash Blossom. And then against Kashtira, if you Eclipse a board of 4 to 5 Kashtira monsters with a full combo, I found that I wasn't clearing them all enough, and then the 2 to 3 draws that they get in the end phase was just game ending for me. So I felt like just regular Book of Moon was fine, and then the one Called by the Grave, because sometimes you pass to Ash, unfortunately. So I'll go for the extra deck. I guess first I'll just show the Firewall package. I played the entire Terahertz Firewall package, Firewall Dragon, Protect Code Talker, Repro, Link Decoder, Link Karibo, and then both of the targets to send off of terahertz. I feel like this isn't necessarily correct. There's a lot of different ways to play the extra deck. You can play utility cards, you can Ibly Lock, you can play the smaller Firewall package, which is Crystal Heart and Binary Sorceress. but I always found that I wanted the bigger Firewall package because of the add back off Firewall Dragon. I feel like it gave kind of the best of both worlds. You always have guaranteed follow up with the Firewall bounce, and then it also gives you the maximum number of interruptions. And then for the other utility extra deck cards, I played Appaloosa, or Access Code Appaloosa, Heat Leo, Unicorn, Phoenix, Sunlight Wolf, and IP Masquerena. The only notable utility extra deck cards that I feel like a lot of people are playing that I'm not are Hida and Heat Soul. So I felt like I didn't need Heat Soul because it only ever comes up when you are only playing with Hydrant. And if I'm only playing with Hydrant, I just end on Firewall Dragon and Protect Talker. You can get to that point with just Hydrant. And it's not quite as good as Heat Soul and Sunlight Wolf adding back a fire. But what it gives you is a guaranteed interruption if you've only opened Hydrant. You can either you can save the Firewall bounce for your opponent's turn, and either bounce one of their cards, or if you don't have to use it as an interruption, you can just bounce back follow up. But I thought that was sufficient for when I'm forced to play with just Hydrant. And then I don't play Hida because the Firewall package climbs just as well, so I never felt I needed it going second. Finally, for the side deck, I played 3 Nibiru, 3 Phantasme, 3 Retaliating Sea, 3 Bestial Magnamut, and 1 Bestial Druisworm. So all these side deck cards have in common that they summon themselves from my hand to my field, so they all synergize really well with Impulse in the main deck. In a lot of matchups, post side, your goal is to kind of overwhelm the opponent with the number of monsters you summon on their turn, and then you can beat over interruptions and deal with all kinds of problems just because you already have such a large board presence. And then I also felt this side deck gave me a really good coverage spread against a lot of the newer decks that people are playing, like Unchained and the Chimera deck. And then the last 2 cards are just 2 Cosmic Cyclone to kind of round out some matchups, like against Flu and Labyrinth. That's probably one of the only decks that I thought I didn't have enough coverage for was Flu, and if I did happen to play that, all the hand traps in the main deck kind of round out the coverage in that respect. So I was very happy with the side deck.
Awesome. Anything? So I guess nothing you change in the side.
I would probably play a 3rd Cosmic Cyclone,
Hmm.
maybe over one of the Magnamuts. I just felt like it really overperformed going first. I sided in a lot of matchups going first.
Awesome. And I guess we can show off the firewall combo.
Yeah, I'll show off the way I do the Firewall combo really briefly. Most people have already seen the combo, but I feel like some of the way you get follow-up from it, I don't see everybody doing, so I guess I'll do it quickly. So from 1 card, if you're starting with Airlifter, Airlifter effect to search Emergency, activate Emergency, and summon Hydrant, send the Airlifter. Hydrant is going to search us Turbulence, activate Turbulence, 2, and then Turbulence effect, set 4. A lot of times you're going to want to set Rescue off Turbulence to play around Nib, especially game 1. But for the sake of showing the maximum number of interruptions, I'm going to set Emergency instead. It's also worth noting, like most hands, as long as you're playing with more than 1 card, you will already just have access to Preventer or Alert or one of these other cards, so you pretty much always get to the additional quick play anyway. But so we're going to set Emergency here instead of Rescue, and then we'll activate Alert because we control Hydrant and use one of our set quick plays this turn. Got Preventer. We're going to link off Hydrant for Karibo. Preventer effect, banishing Hydrant. Turn the 2 into Repro, trigger Preventer, summoning back Hydrant. Repro is going to make Hydrant a Cyberse. Can make Link Decoder. I'm going to link Repro and Decoder off for Protect Code Talker, and then Decoder lets us summon itself back. And then we're going to turn Protect and Turbulence into Firewall Dragon. Summon back Protect by banishing total of Link 3 rating, and then we can activate Firewall's effect, returning the Preventer to hand. I always add back the Preventer because it represents the most amount of follow-up because it can summon itself back, be used as link fodder, and then it'll summon back whatever we choose to banish. I also almost always just use it on my opponent's turn. So quickly, these get banished. You make Terahertz, and Terahertz can send the spell trap negate one on your turn. And then on the opponent's turn, what I normally do is I emergency, and I summon another copy of Preventer from deck. And then I send the copy that I added back with Firewall from my hand. And then the Preventer can trigger to summon back Airlifter. And then Airlifter triggers and searches as well. So it kind of lets you not just trade the follow-up in your hand for an additional interruption, but it also lets you trade it for more follow-up because Airlifter that you summon back just searches another emergency, or more than likely, if you already have more Rescue Ace cards in hand, you would just search HQ. So you have a better grind on the pass back. So yeah, that's...
Amazing. Well, thank you so much for the deck profile and combo. Again, huge congrats on the top 8 finish. Any last shoutouts?
Yeah, so shoutouts to the entire Council of Rabina, Steve for making my side deck, Jay and Nick for lending me cards, Sean for driving, and then also a shout out to Dolly's Niagara. They just opened a location in St. Catharines. If anyone's in the area, they should go check it out.
Awesome. Well, thanks again and take care, everyone.
Thank you.